Newsflash, the Austin comedy scene is not all it's hyped up to be.
The city of Austin, Texas is a dump. It's a soulless city that should be burned to the ground.
It's not the beacon of opportunity that Joe Rogan and all of his peers have repeatedly claimed it was. For every Cam Patterson, there's 100 comics who are figuratively so thirsty they'd probably pay you $1,000 to piss in their mouths. How did we even get here? Why is the narrative about Austin, Texas being the sacred land for comedy starting to shift? Well, it's because of Joe Rogan, but you already knew that. Today we're going to be going through all of the criticism that I found to be the most compelling over the last several weeks about the Austin comedy scene and giving my thoughts on it. So if that sounds interesting to you, then let's hop right into it. To begin with, probably the biggest voice who has heavily criticized the Austin comedy scene, and Joe Rogan specifically as of late, is comedian Marc Maron. Marc has talked about it on numerous occasions, but let's start off with what he said on Whiskey Ginger.
For sure.
His podcast is so good.
I think we probably all owe it to Tom Green.
You love Austin, don't you?
He's running half the planet out of Texas.
Yeah.
He's got a tight hold on the enlightened meatheads. You know, it's weird that you get lumped into a certain thing, and maybe it's my assumption that his army of healthy fellas.
Is that their title? Army of Healthy Fellas is so good.
No, you just got to, got to stay in, keep the machine.
The machine's got to be good.
Yeah.
That's a shot at Bert. Go ahead.
What do you think the Austin shelf life is going to be?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think that it's so effectively tribalized at this point. It really comes down to material. I mean, at what point, it's like whatever they represented in terms of policy. And it's not a stretch. It's like they won. Trans people are frightened. They have no ability to get health care anymore. And they're afraid of being alive and have no freedom left. So that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
When do you stop with the jokes?
And like immigrants. Okay, well, they're being ripped away from their homes. And they're all terrified. And okay, so that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to pick on the vulnerable and the marginalized, but I mean, they're down.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
they're down.
Why do you got to keep hitting them? Unless you're a hack. Now, there's a question.
So there's a lot to unpack here. Marc Maron first pays homage to Tom Green for paving the way for podcasters, which, good on him for that. Then he proceeds to call out Joe for fostering this environment in Austin, which is full of hacky comedians who think being anti-woke will get them on Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe's good side. Now, I think Marc is correct in principle about how going on stage and constantly punching down, spamming slurs, and then claiming the audience is soft for not laughing does come off incredibly trite, vapid, and cliche. That being said, obviously I think comedians should be allowed to say and talk about whatever they want, but it's an unwritten rule that if you're going to touch on a heavy topic, you better make sure the joke is clever and well written, because blaming cancel culture for the reason your joke is bombing makes you look fucking stupid. There's plenty of great comedians working today who are consistently talking about really dark subject matter, but the difference is they are constantly rewriting their jokes to be better and better to work in every city and erasing the leftover dull points. The first comedian who comes to mind who really is a wizard at treading sensitive topics is comedian Geoffrey Asmus. I worked with Jeff at my home club here in Florida and was immediately blown away at how fucking funny the guy was, while pretty much talking about anything and everything you could possibly imagine. His recent stand-up special, 63 Minutes of Great Comedy, proves that you can be funny when talking about anything if you're a good enough stand-up comic and you work hard. Shout out to my dude, Geoffrey Asmus. Another comedian I really like is Ryan Long, but it really seems like the comedians in Rogan's backyard of Austin, Texas, bitching about cancel culture and blaming that for why their jokes are bombing is very lame. Which, this is what leads a lot of channels to make a mockery out of them, like The Elephant Graveyard, Podcast Cringe, Too Lazy to Try, American Redact, and more where that came from. More on this later, though. Furthermore, we've also seen comedians like Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker also poking and prodding at the Austin comedy scene, like in this clip where Shane talks about how incessantly certain Austin comics use slurs while on stage.
Comedy movies are back.
True.
In a big way.
Pendulum swung. Pendulum's fully swung.
Maybe too far. Head down to the mothership, you go, ooh.
Yeah.
Pendulum's maybe swung a little too far. Not everyone has to say it.
True.
Every single set.
Dude, I think we're in like the new version of the 70s now. We've left we had like a version of the 60s, like the hippie dream, which was just like state sponsored, basically propaganda at this point, with just like the super woke stuff. It's completely fallen apart. Now we're in the 70s.
Now I got evil hippies.
Exactly. And then we're about to hit the 80s pretty soon, which will be sweet.
Yes.
This makes perfect sense because of everything we've talked about thus far. If it serves to make the joke funnier, then go for it. But if you're just doing it with the sole intention of being shocking and there's no real point behind it, you should probably just not do it. I would bet that there's not even close to as many comedians doing this type of thing in New York City, Chicago, or Los Angeles, and what do you know? There's better comedians on average in all three of these cities compared to Austin, Texas. Another point I feel compelled to talk about is how propped up the Austin comedy scene as this treasure trove of opportunity for young comedians who want to make a name for themselves. Mark Norman and Big J. Okerson talked about this on Something's Burning with Bert Kreischer.
What's New York's take on Austin?
Oh, it's a punchline, for sure.
Really?
I like Austin. I like the mothership's great. And
you have to say that.
Yeah, really. I know.
Shane's down there. It's I like Brian Simpson. I like I like all the guys. But
the extreme move out there was ridiculous.
I would never move there.
I think the move out there was ridiculous.
I think
it's 100 people moving there to try to get one of 8 spots available at Mothership.
And they keep saying, "Hey, it's a boom, a comedy boom," but it's one club.
One club, and the Creek in the Cave.
Aren't there? There's
Creek in the Cave and Cap City. That's it. Really? Everything else is a bar. But I say go there.
Sure.
I say go there. Don't come to New York. It's fine.
Please.
So not only is Austin a punchline and known for having a lot of bad comedians who spam slurs, but the claim that it's the new comedy mecca and that all the opportunity in the world is there is simply false. It's a facade, a farce, a sham. As mentioned previously, it's 1% of the comedians in the city getting all the major spots at the Comedy Mothership and other rooms, and then like 99% of the comics who are moving there or already living there, scrounging for scraps and what's left over. Compare this to New York City, where there's a dozen or more clubs you can find yourself working at to improve as a young comic. Austin gets fucking creamed. Now I know there's some great comics in Austin you can name, but I would bet if you took 10 no-name comedians you've never heard of from the Comedy Cellar, they would absolutely lap the funniest comics in Austin. Colum Terrell, Geoffrey Asmus, Gavin Matz, Danny Polishuk, all of these guys eclipse a lot of the best comedians in Austin, in my humble opinion. Don't get me wrong though, there is opportunity in Austin if you already have something great going for yourself, as Mark Norman said. Shane is an Austin comic, but the difference is he didn't need Austin. He started in Philly, he moved to New York, and then eventually made his way out there when it was convenient for him. But Shane would be successful no matter where he decided to live because he's an undeniably funny comic who deserves all the success he's received thus far. Mark Norman feels the same way because he's a New York comedian who is a regular at the best clubs in the city and has a massive audience he's built himself after grinding stand-up for years. When you've already established yourself as a comedian, there's definitely food on the plate for you if you visit Austin, Texas, but if you think going there as a young comic is going to automatically lead to more opportunities, then think again. You'd be better off building your own rooms in Salt Lake City, Utah so you can get all the stage time that you want, than moving to some disgusting shit town with unremarkable barbecue. Then I saw Jordan Jensen go on Stavi's World recently, and the topic of trans people came up, and the way Stavi responded I found really interesting.
My friend's ex, not ex, just dude she was fucking, whatever. He was like, I've fucked a tranny. Right?
Okay,
which is crazy.
Yeah, he said that. You're quoting
He said
him.
that. He's like the southern guy, which tranny to me is drag, in my opinion.
No.
Transvestite.
It's a slur for
yeah, but it's not
trans
transgender.
Person. Yes, it is.
If you transition fully, you're not really a tranny anymore.
Okay,
you know stop
saying it.
Sorry. So then...
I think being trans... I mean, we're in a society where... I think, unfortunately, society dictates that a little bit, and I think
I'm more queer than that person.
You're not.
I am a lesbian
you're
having
not.
sex with small men.
No, okay, you're not at all. You're a straight woman. But I do think if you're trans, you're still queer in society.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where I land. You have gotten like Austin trans brain. Like you know what I mean? Like it really is at the top of your head.
No, because
you immediately brought it up as soon as the podcast started.
No, because
this was pretty funny from Stav. I feel like doing Cumtown with Nick Mullen for all those years just made him ready to deal with anything and everything. Stavi is obviously alluding to what we've discussed already, and what Mark Maron has talked about before, how there's a mind virus associated with Austin about people who ruthlessly dunk on trans people in an attempt to pander to their anti-woke lord, Joe Rogan. Stavros has also made plenty of other jokes at the expense of Austin, Texas, and the comedians who inhabit this hellhole of a city. Another instance of a comedian talking about Austin was Steph Tolev, who is a paid regular at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. I found what she had to say very interesting as well.
Have you done the Mothership?
I have.
You have? You like it? You enjoy it down there? Did you do Kill Tony?
No.
No. You didn't like it down there?
You see the adjusting of the sock?
You can be candid. Who cares?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like the vibe at the mothership. I got in trouble for being in the green room, apparently.
Oh, you did?
I got a security guard took me into the green room.
Took you right out.
And I was like, hello. And then apparently after I wasn't invited in. So apparently Joe was mad at me.
That you were there?
That I was in the green room.
But he knows who you are. You've met before?
No, he doesn't.
Oh,
I
you
met
never
him that day. I got up. I go, hello, how are you? Great club. And then apparently I was ousted the next day.
Wow.
What do you think I don't like the vibe there. I don't know. I mean, also, I'm like, he could have just been like, get the fuck out of it. I'm like, your club.
Yeah,
your club, your rules.
That's right. Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was the vibe of the. I did it again last year. It's the other comedians.
Mm-hmm. You don't like it?
It's very F word, retard. It's that women are stupid, women are unfunny, women are.
I haven't disagreed with one thing you've said so far.
It was very misogynistic and homophobic, and I didn't like the vibe.
Yeah.
I will say all the door guys were fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And the club itself is set up. It's fucking incredible.
It is.
It's
a good club.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. Mitzi's the fucking bar, only having comics in there after. Like the whole, that vibe was great.
Yeah.
But when I was in the room watching these comics.
I saw Steph at the Comedy Store in LA, and I thought she was really funny. She was also really funny in the show Tires. I'm not surprised that she didn't care for Austin, though, for all the reasons we've discussed already. She even gives compliments where they are due. Like, obviously the club is built well, because whether you find Joe's stand-up funny or not, he's been around enough comedians in his life to know what it is about comedy rooms that make them structurally good or bad. However, the atmosphere of Austin itself failed Steph's vibe check. Of course, in the past, we've heard other comedians criticize Austin and kill Tony, most notably Anthony Jeselnik, who was strategically riding the hype around it to promote his special while also promoting opinions he actually holds. All of these factors have played a role in Austin becoming a punchline in the grander world of American comedy. Now finally, a bonus reason for why the Austin comedy circle jerk hype train has been derailed is because of several of my peers. I think an incredibly compelling look into the comedy ecosystem and how it has changed and even impacted the world of politics is this video by The Elephant Graveyard. He really breaks down how the world of comedy has changed.
I just watched a brilliant documentary this morning. I've watched all this guy's stuff. It's a guy, he calls himself Elephant Graveyard on YouTube. And it specifically focuses on the alignment of politics and comedy. He did one called The Comedy Czar.
All in all, I think both being staunchly anti-woke and spamming slurs, or being a smug comic who worries more about being seen as smart than being seen as funny, are both lame avenues for a comedian to take. Comedians can joke about whatever they want, but if you're consistently going after the same demographic to appeal to the Rogan sphere, then for a lot of people it crosses the line and makes you a hack. Ultimately, this massive migration to Austin and Joe Rogan sinking his fangs into the comedy scene there has turned it into a place to be ruthlessly roasted and mocked, even by the comedians who work there and visit on occasion. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you learned something. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed watching, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If you want more content from me, click the link on the screen to watch me cover the entire history of Norm Macdonald's career. You will learn everything he did in his career in a very short amount of time. Check that video out and have a great rest of your day. God bless.